Hello again. Tonight I'm not really going to tell a hunting story. I'm not going to tell a Beagle Book Club story. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm going to talk about growing up, some of the things that happened growing up, the way I was raised, and I'm going to tell you about a very personal experience that happened with me. Some of you may not know, but I was actually in a really horrible car wreck. It wasn't my fault, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't declared dead at the scene, and simply because of a miracle, I am here today. So let's get into the story. I doubt I get through it without actually shedding a couple of tears, and just bear with me. This is very personal. So I'm going to start out with, growing up and the reason that I am the way that I am. The title to this story is On Loan and Accountable. And of course, it's written by me. I guess it's the reason I am the way that I am. My dad used to tell me he didn't really own anything. He said whatever he had, tools, land, food, skills, house, God had only loaned to him for a while, and that God expected him to be a good steward of those things. I didn't fully understand this as a child, but I did watch the way that he lived. One of the things that my dad did was he had a metalworking shop at home. And in the shop, he built all kinds of things. He built utility trailers. He built grills. But one thing that he built was wood heaters. Nothing fancy, just solid steel and an understanding of how fire and air work. He sold some. He built one for our house. And he gave some of them away, especially to people in need. He never bragged, and he never explained himself. Those heaters are still out there. Just recently I was sitting in the woods talking with some cousins, and we got to talking about Dad's wood heaters and how the clubhouse could use one. I mentioned that I still had one of Dad's wood heaters. That's when Sibo looked at me and said, "I've got 3 of them." Then he counted them off. I got the one from Uncle Chicken's house. I got the one from Meemaw's house. And I got the one your dad made for me. 2 of them are stacked up in my shop right now, piped in and ready to go. I can build a fire in both of them. I can get it really warm in there. That made me think about being a child and going to visit Uncle Chicken in the wintertime. You'd walk into his house. I mean, it was a shotgun house. I doubt there was any insulation in it at all. The old farmhouse. But he had that wood heater in the living room, and that house was always warm. The type of warm you do not forget. Dad had built a draft on these heaters out of a round piece of pipe that screwed in and out. And once you got the fire just right and closed that draft down, the fire would sit there and smolder and throw off a steady heat. They were very efficient heaters, and they didn't burn a lot of wood. There are no switches, no electronics, just stewardship. But the wood heaters were not the only lesson. I remember Dad raised pigs. I remember the work. I remember the hams and the hams being cured. And I remember the day after Christmas, every year, he would line the trunk of the car with 8 or more cured hams and drive around giving them away. As a kid, I didn't understand the value of a ham. It was just ham. I ate a bunch of it. It wasn't until I was grown, standing in a grocery store, buying my own food, that it hit me that Cure's hams were expensive. Cured hams were really expensive. Those weren't leftovers. Those weren't excess. They were valuable. I remember one time my dad was talking to a complete stranger in a parking lot. They talked for maybe 5 minutes, nothing dramatic. And then Dad walked around to the trunk of the car and said, "I want to give you something." He opened the trunk and took out a cured ham and handed it to the man. No speech, no expectation, just stewardship. This brings me to the point of the story I hinted on earlier. Not long ago, I was given a chance to see things from the other side. My dad's been gone for a while. If he was alive now, I think he'd be 102. But anyway, I had the opportunity to cross the veil between life and death. I was in a major car wreck, and for a time, I didn't survive, at least not at first. The first fireman to respond to the scene tells me that I was completely unresponsive, no heartbeat, no signs of life. And I remained like that for about 15 minutes. They were 100% sure that I was dead. I recall the impact. I recall everything turning white, the brightest white light I've ever seen. But I didn't see a tunnel. People say that they experienced a tunnel, that have had near-death experiences. I didn't see a tunnel. There was a bright flash of light, like lightning, and then darkness. And I remember being seated in my car, and someone grabbed my left shoulder and pulled me out of the car. At least that's what I thought happened. Actually, it was a being that I can only describe as an angel that grabbed my left shoulder and literally pulled my soul out of my body. And this angel held me like you would cradle a child. The being was a lot bigger than I am, and I'm 6'4". And it held me like a child, like it was trying to comfort me. I could see, but I didn't really have a sense of smell, and I really couldn't hear anything. But I could see the activity going on around the accident scene. I watched the fire truck drive up. I watched as they put down fire retardant all around my car because my car was sitting in a big puddle of gasoline. I watched 3 different first responders come and check my body. I could see my body in the car slumped over the steering wheel. And I watched as 3 different people check me for vital signs, shook their heads as if to say he's gone. They loaded up the guy that hit me. It was a 20-year-old kid. He had fallen asleep at the wheel. Terrible accident. They loaded him up in an ambulance and took him away. And the ambulance that was standing by for me was not really in a big hurry. They were kind of waiting on the highway patrol to get there to look at the scene. There was no rush in getting the dead body out of the car. They were in the process of trying to put a tarp over me. So I recall looking at the angel. It was a gigantic being. Like I say, I'm 6'4", and it held me like I was a baby. It didn't really talk to me. It just held me. There was another entity there, and the angel that was holding and comforting me kept the other one away from me. Every time it would come close, it would motion with its hand for it to stay back. And I don't know if there was any communication between these two beings, but I didn't hear any. The second being eventually left. I remember that the clothing that these beings were wearing appeared to be like liquid fire. But it wasn't orange. It was bright white, and it shimmered kind of like a campfire at night. When the second being left, the first being turned its face towards me, and this is the first time I got a chance to look directly at its face. But it was wearing a veil or a shield. All I could see was the shield that was blocking its face. And then it spoke, but not like a human would speak. It only said one thing: breathe. And that was not like I just said, breathe. It was an order. It was a command. It was a command for my body to start working again. That angel spoke life back into my body. I told you I was going to tear up. Bear with me. I've tried to tell this story a lot, and I can't ever make it through it. But I'm going to make it through today. It spoke life back into my body. And when it said breathe, it was like a rubber band snapped. And my soul was immediately pulled back into my body. Up until this point, I had not experienced any pain. It was very calm and very peaceful. And I knew I was dead, and I was okay with it. I didn't have regrets. The only thing I was really concerned about was my second grandson was due any day, and I wasn't going to get to meet him. But I didn't think about things. I didn't think about property. I didn't think about a house. I didn't think about a car. I didn't think about material things at all. They were of no concern to me. And I had lived a good life. And I had accepted that this is it. This is where my life ends. But because of divine intervention, I got to come back. And I still don't know why I was chosen to cheat death. But I did. And I'm here. So I have to make the best of it. And I have to figure out why I was sent back. I feel compelled to tell my story of crossing into the veil between life and death. And I feel compelled to tell people that you really should not obsess over material things. Because when it's time for you to leave this world, you're not taking anything with you. It's all still going to be here. So at that moment, I fully understood what my father had taught me years ago, that he didn't own anything, that it was only loaned to him for a time, and that God owned it, and he was only God's steward to take care of it. The Bible's full of stories about how prideful people were dealt with by God. Creation was not given to us to hoard. It was loaned to us to care for a time. So here's a question I'll leave with you, especially here around the holiday season. When people talk about gratitude and giving, are you living your life selfishly or selflessly? Because one day, every single one of us will have to stand before our Creator and give an account of what we did with what we were loaned. Now you think about that for a minute. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle that? When God or one of his servants looks you in the face, how will you respond? It's a question you can't answer until you're in the position. I know how I'll respond because I've already done it. And for whatever reason, God wasn't done with me, and he sent me back. Now I'm going to address some of the naysayers. I got tears in my eyes, I'm sorry. But I'm going to address some of the naysayers. I've had people say, oh, you were knocked unconscious and you were hallucinating. It was a dream. Well, I'd just like to share with you that a dead body doesn't bleed because your blood pressure is what causes the blood to come out of your body. So my heart wasn't beating, so I wasn't bleeding. And I was in the car at least 15 minutes, and I was cut all up. When they got me out of the car, I was bleeding everywhere. But there's only about 4 drops of blood in my car. A man bleeding as bad as I was when I came out of that car, the whole interior of that car should have been soaked with blood. But there's only about 2 drops. Dead bodies don't bleed. Something else, and this is really personal. While I was dead, the angel showed me things. It didn't talk to me, but I saw things. I saw things that had happened in the past. And I saw things that I can only describe as things that happened in the future. Some of these things that were revealed to me on that day have happened. So I don't think they were just visions. I think they were actually, I was being told some of the things that would happen in the future. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to describe it. But I will tell you this. This life we're living's not it. It doesn't end here. There's something else. And it's awesome. I got to dip my toe in that pool briefly. And it was a life-changing event. I hope that you've watched the video to this point, and I'm going to challenge you. I want you to sit down and take an account of the way you're living your life. And I want you to tell me if you think your Creator is going to be happy when he meets you? Do you try and help your neighbor, or do you spend your time yelling at your neighbor? Do you present a positive attitude, or is everything constantly negative? We weren't put here on this planet to be miserable, and we weren't put here to antagonize and aggravate each other. We should strive to be a better person every day. You should help your neighbor. You shouldn't go out of your way to try and harm your neighbor. I'm going to recommend that you pick up that book, the Bible, and read it. There's a lot of things in there where that we're instructed to love our neighbor, help our neighbor. Jesus even instructed people to turn the other cheek. If you got slapped on one cheek, turn the other one and give it to them. If somebody comes to you and asks you to walk a mile, walk 2 with them. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting the Bible. But not once in there does it tell you to hate your neighbor. Not once. It's not in there. Whether you're a religious person or not doesn't matter. I don't care if you believe in God or not. I can tell you one thing, He believes in you. I've met His representative. I've met him in person. So I'm going to leave you with this. Try and be a good neighbor. Be a good steward of what you have. It's only yours for a short time. You won't be taking it with you. The Egyptians tried. There's billions of dollars worth of stuff still buried in the desert out there. They tried to take it into the afterlife with them, and it's still out there in that desert. You came from dust, and you're going to return to it. You are, I am, we all are. Our lives are going to be summed up by 2 dates. Your birth date and your death date. They're separated by a dash. That dash is what you got to make the most of. And live your life like today is your last day, because it very well might be. The morning that I woke up and my life was required of me, I had no idea that I was going to be meeting with an angel in just a few minutes. No clue. I wasn't sick. I was probably in some of the best shape I've ever been in my life. And suddenly, I was before one of the representatives of the Almighty. I want you to think about that. Be a good neighbor. All right. I've shared a very emotional video with you, and I hope you stayed till the end. If you got anything from the video, click the like button. If you know somebody you think might benefit from listening to this, click the share button and subscribe to the channel. It's free. I told you get a little bit of everything here, and you'll definitely be entertained. I got a little preachy today, and you're going to get that every once in a while too. So, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next video.